Hello guys, it's Drew. So, we finally made it to Black Temple, Phase 3 of the Burning Crusade Classic. I personally am very excited for this phase. I have never killed Illidan in any form whatsoever on live or private servers, so it's going to be a lot of fun for me. And another great thing is that Shadow Priests get a huge gear boost, huge power jump in this phase. Tier 6 is awesome. And yeah, so just like all my other videos, I'm going to first give you a full 100% best in slot list for Phase 3, Tier 6 of the Burning Crusade Classic. And then, you know how I like to do, I'm going to give you the realistic best in slot sets. So, let's get right into it, guys. So here we have the full 100% best in slot guide for Phase 3 of TBC Classic. A lot of awesome things are introduced in this phase. The biggest one being the introduction of spell haste being added to a lot of pieces of gear. So this gear set and the other gear sets are all revolved around the introduction of spell haste. Spell haste is awesome because it affects your casting speed, which also is your channeling speed. So spell haste also affects how fast your mind flay channels, and the faster your mind flay channels, the more damage you do. The other great thing that comes with Phase 3 is the introduction of the epic gems. So we've been using +9 spell damage gems this whole time, and now we get the epic gems. So we're going to get +12 spell damage gems. So with that being said, let's go down the list of the gear. So the first piece we have is the Hood of Absolution. This is your Tier 6 helmet. The awesome thing about Tier 6, first of all, we have 8 pieces again. So a little throwback to that classic vibe. But the good thing is that unlike the 8 pieces in Classic, there's only a 4 set bonus, unlike Tier 3, which had a 6 set bonus. So you only need 4 pieces of your Tier 6 to get your 4 set bonus. The set bonuses are awesome for Shadow Priest in this phase. Tier 6 is awesome, and it looks really cool. So the 2 set bonus is increases the duration of your Shadow Word Pain by 3 seconds, and the 4 set bonus is increases the damage from your Mind Blast ability by 10%. So our set bonuses are not playing around this time, it's just straight added damage, which is awesome. So the Hood of Absolution, 36 stamina, 39 intellect, 27 spirit, that +22 spell damage helm enchant, and the gems. So the meta socket is empty, and this is for a couple of reasons. The meta gems that Shadow Priests use are not 100% set in stone. I got a lot of this information. Actually, I got pretty much all of this information of Phase 3 from the Shadow Priest Discord again. Huge shout out to them. In particular, big shout out to Passion. This is all from his guide. These are his gear sets, and he simmed all this. So huge shout out to you. TBC I know a lot less about than Classic, so I rely on a lot more people to learn things from in TBC, and Passion's guides are a huge help and pretty much where I'm basing this whole video off of. So again, huge shout outs to the Shadow Priest Discord, and huge shout out to you, Passion. So that being said, the meta socket. So there are a couple of options here, okay? The first option we have is the Mystical Skyfire Diamond, okay? This is a meta gem, and it is a chance to increase your spell cast speed, which is haste. So this has a chance to proc a plus haste bonus. The thing about this is technically your best in slot, right? In Sims, this is your best in slot, but that is implying that you are hitting your rotation 100% perfect. So what I mean by that is if you're using this gem and it procs, you get a plus haste bonus, you're gonna have to sort of alter your rotation, okay? But the good thing about that is I'm only talking in minimal damage, okay? So this is really a playstyle choice, right? So if you like the playstyle of playing around procs, You think, if you want to challenge yourself and try to play to this play style of the gem procs and you alter your rotation, awesome. Um, but a lot of people don't like that play style, so there are other options, which is awesome. The next option we have is the Swift Starfire Diamond. This is a gem from the Spirit Shards, plus 12 spell damage, minor run speed increase. The only thing about this gem or this meta gem is if you use this meta gem, you have to get a different boot enchant because this does not stack with Boar Speed. And the third option we have is the Bracing Earthstorm Diamond. So plus 26 healing, plus 9 spell damage, plus 2% reduced threat. These three meta gems sim pretty much the same. But like I said, Mystical Starfire Diamond is technically your best in slot. So let's get back into the gear. We got that plus 12 spell damage gem on there, 17 crit, 62 damage and healing, 10 MP5, awesome stats. The stats are really getting ramped up with the tier 6. And then, yeah, it's really good. Awesome piece, fatty piece. Next, we have Ritzen's Lost Pendant. Like I said in my Phase 1 video, this is an amazing necklace, plus 51 shadow damage. If you don't have this by now, I'm sorry. I finally got mine. Took me a while, but I finally got mine. So, I'm going to be wearing my Ritzen's Lost Pendant probably through the end of TBC. Next, we have our Tier 6 Shoulders. 27 stam, 27 int, 18 spell damage, and 10 crit. Enchant, 2 plus 12 spell damage gems, 12 hit, 17 crit, 46 damage and healing, 10 MP5, another awesome piece. Then we have the Nether Void Cloak, 27 stamina, 18 intellect, got that 2% reduced threat enchant on there, 18 hit and 53 shadow damage. This is an awesome cloak that's being introduced in Black Temple. This thing is awesome. And I can't wait to try to get my hands on mine. Love this cloak, and definitely a great piece with that hit on there. Got our tier 6 chest, 36 stam, 39 int, the plus 6 to all stats enchant. This is sort of swappable with 15 spirit. You can use this, you can use 15 spirit. 3 12 spell damage gems in there, 20 hit, 21 crit, 61 damage and healing, 12 MP5. This is another awesome piece. Next, we have the Bracers of Nimble Thought. This is a craftable BOE item. So this is 27 stam, 20 int, the 15 spell damage enchant, 28 haste, and 34 damage and healing. So our tier 6 pieces don't really have any spell haste on them. We're going to be getting our spell haste from pretty much all of our off pieces, okay? And this is what is going to segue me into my next point, okay? This staff right here, Zardum Great Staff of the Devourer. This is the holy grail piece for casters in the TBC Classic, okay? Warlocks are going to be going after this hard. But the great thing about this is you can make a pretty good argument to your loot council, if you do use loot council, for this, because if priests are doing more damage and doing damage faster, that means more mana from Vampiric Touch for the rest of the group. So the whole raid is actually going to be benefiting greatly from spell haste, excuse me, on a Shadow Priest. But you're pretty much going to need to choose your gear path, okay? If you're in a loot council guild, this is. If you're in a DKP guild or EPGP, you can obviously pick and choose what you want. But if you're in a loot council guild, you're going to need to let your loot council know that you want this staff. You're going to pretty much be gung-ho for this staff, okay? So if you don't get this staff, there is a alternate gear path you can take, which we will talk about in a little bit. But for the 100% best in slot guide, you are going to want the Zardum Great Staff of the Devourer. So 70 stamina, 47 intellect, Soul Frost enchant, 36 crit, 55 spell haste, and 259 damage and healing. You can see why this staff is so sought after, right? And I mean, look how cool it is, all right? The staff looks awesome too. So like I said, this is your holy grail piece, pretty much what you're building your gear set around, the heart and soul of your gear set. Next, we have our tier 6 gloves, 30 stam, 31 int, 20 shadow damage enchant, 12 spell damage gem, 19 hit, 46 damage and healing, 10 MP5. Not much more to say. Another awesome piece. Your tier 6 really does have a lot of hit and spell damage, which is awesome for you. Next, we have the Waist Wrap of Infinity, 31 stam, 22 int, 32 spell haste, and 56 damage and healing. Again, spell haste is awesome, and all your offset pieces are where you're going to pretty much be getting all your spell haste from. And this is one of those awesome pieces. Next, we have the Leggings of Channeled Elements, 25 stam, 28 int, 28 spirit, the 35 damage, spell damage, and 20 stamina enchant, the Spell Thread, 3 plus 12 spell damage gems, 18 hit, 34 crit, and 59 damage and healing. Okay, so these pants are awesome. They're your best in slot, but this is another piece that Warlocks are really, really going to be going after. So you're probably going to be competing for Warlocks and other casters with this, the staff, and another piece we'll talk about here in a second. But these pants are awesome. Definitely wouldn't prio them over Zardum, but awesome pants nonetheless. Next, Slippers of the Sea Collar, 25 stam, 18 int, 18 spirit, Boar Speed enchant, 2 plus 12 spell damage gems, 29 crit, 44 damage and healing. Just a fatty piece, awesome piece. 2 sockets, nice amount of crit. Really, really good piece. Technically your BiS, but most Shadow Priest upgrades are minimal. This is one of those, and we'll talk about that too here in a second. Next, the rings. Finally, we have some amazing rings for Shadow Priest. Okay, I still am wearing my Cthulhu ring here. Okay, so these are something me personally, I'm gonna be going after these first. We have the Ring of Ancient Knowledge. Another awesome thing about the Ring of Ancient Knowledge, it drops from trash. And have you haven't noticed, there's 2 of them. This thing is not even unique, so you can wear 2 of these. 30 stam, 20 int, the 12 spell damage enchant if you're an enchanter, 31 haste, and 39 damage and healing. I mean, these rings are awesome, and the fact that they're not unique, you can wear 2 of them. They're from trash. Me personally, I'm going to be going for these pretty hard. Can't wait to upgrade my Cthulhu ring, but I'll keep it in my bank forever. That thing has lasted me for years at this point. Next, the Skull of Gul'dan. So this is another one of those pieces I was talking about that you will be competing with casters for. It's a trinket, 25 hit, 55 damage and healing, and it has an on-use of tap into the power of the skull, increasing your spell haste by 175 for 20 seconds. Okay, so as you know, this is the full 100% best in slot guide, right? So this is just a hypothetical, assuming you're going to be getting every single piece of gear you want first, right? That's obviously not feasible. So you pretty much, like I said, need to choose your gear path. One of the gear paths you're going to take is going for Zardum. The other gear path you can take is going for Skull of Gul'dan. And if you're in a Loot Council guild, they might, be like, okay, we're going to give the Warlock the Zardum first, and we're going to give the Shadow Priest the Skull first, and then swap. It may be that, but pretty much you're going to have to choose between Skull and Zardum if you're in a Loot Council guild. I personally am going to want Zardum, but it is what it is. It's also really good on Warlocks too, so there's going to be arguments for both. But in the full 100% best in slot guide, you're going to be using both because they're both your best. Next, we have Icon of the Silver Crescent. This thing is awesome. We've been having it since phase 1. If you don't have it yet, or you're a new Shadow Priest watching this, it's from Badges. 43 damage and healing. On use, increases your damage and healing for 155 for 20 seconds. Not much to say about Icon. It's an awesome trinket. You've been using it since phase 1. You're going to be using it through the end of the game pretty much. And then we have the Wand of the Forgotten Star. 11 hit, 14 crit, 23 damage and healing. This is your best in slot wand. There are other wands that have a couple more spell damage than this, but the 14 crit is really a lot more damage than 1 or 2 extra spell damage. So that was the full 100% best in slot guide, and now let's get into the realistic best in slot guides. So this is the realistic best in slot guide, and what I mean by realistic is that obviously you're not going to get every piece of gear you want over every other caster unless, you know, you're in some sort of cult and they feed you the gear, or you're the guild master or something like that, right? So what I've done in all my other videos is provide you with something called a realistic best in slot guide. So this is stuff personally that I'm going to be going for, and what you should probably be going for as well. It's strategic pieces that you can get to fill out your gear, and a lot of these pieces are only minimally worse than your actual BiS. So that's the awesome thing, okay? And the awesome thing, again, shout out to you, Passion. Passion also created realistic best in slot guides, and he made one with Zardum and one without Zardum. So he picked one if you are planning on getting Zardum relatively soon. You know, you save up your DKP for it, but then you got to pick and choose your other pieces here and there. So this first realistic best in slot guide is going to be one with Zardum, okay? So first we have your tier 6 helm. Again, your your tier 6 4-set bonus is going to be the same throughout all the sets, and the pieces we use are the gloves, the helm, the shoulders, and the chest. So that's going to be consistent throughout all these gear sets. Next, you may notice we don't have Aritzins. We have the translucent spell thread necklace. So this gives you 15 hit, 24 crit, 46 damage and healing. Okay, so the reason we have this over the Ritzins is because you need your hit from somewhere, and this is a piece where you can get your hit, okay? But let me say this is only a minimal upgrade over Ritzins, and this necklace is very good on other casters. So it's not worth taking this over another caster because it's only a minimal upgrade for you, okay? If you have your Ritzins, don't even worry about this necklace, okay? If you don't have your Ritzins, you can consider going for this. Next, tier 6 shoulders, not going to say much more about that. The Nether Void cloak, again, awesome cloak. Not going to be that contested, so definitely go for that. The Shroud of Absolution, tier 6 chest, again, like I said, tier 6 4-set is going to be consistent throughout. The Bracers of Nimble Thought, these are awesome again because they're crafted, so you can definitely go after these on your own time. I love gear that you can get on your own time. You guys know I'm a huge fan of that. And the Zardum, what this whole gear set is built around. Tier 6 gloves, Waist Wrap of Infinity again. And here, you may notice we have different pants, okay? So we chose the Leggings of Devastation because the other pants are going to be a lot more contested. These are minimally worse, but a lot easier to get. So these have 40 stam, 42 int, the runic spell thread, 3+12 spell damage gems, 26 hit, and 60 damage and healing. So like I said, minimally worse, but a lot easier to get. And we also have our old faithful Frozen Shadow Weave boots, okay? 9 int, 15 stam, bore speed, 2+12 spell damage gems, and 57 shadow damage. The only reason, these are replaceable with the other slippers, okay? They sim pretty much the same. And Shadow Priest gear, and this is what I've learned with TBC gearing, I'm used to Classic where everything is black and white. You only want to stack spell power, that's it. You only want to use these pieces, anything else is worse, right? For TBC Shadow Priest, what I've learned is that it's a lot more situational, okay? So if you are going after a piece of gear, you should really use the sim, which I will include in the link below. It's in the Shadow Priest Discord. You should really use the sim and test the piece of gear before you go for it, and that's a great tip, and also something that I learned by reading Passion's guides. So the slippers sim better in the full best in slot, but the Frozen Shadow Weave is still good. And like, if you're not worried about simming or anything like that, don't worry. We're talking hairs here, okay? This is just minimal damage. This is if you're just trying to put those pink parses out. The Ring of Ancient Knowledge ×2. These rings are awesome. Like I said, these are probably going to be the two things I go for first, except Zardum. Icon of the Silver Crescent, Dark Moon Card Crusade, an awesome trinket that was introduced. Remember, this is not a proc, it's a static ability, so this is pretty much just a plus 80 spell damage trinket. And then we have the Wand of Prismatic Focus. So this is a wand I was talking about that has more spell damage than the other wand, but the crit on the other wand is better. So 13 hit, 25 damage and healing. The other wand is like 11 hit, 13 crit, and 23. So you're only giving up 2 spell damage for 13 crit. It's pretty good. But this wand is still awesome. If you're in a position to get this wand, I would definitely take it. So that is the realistic best in slot guide with Zardum. Now let's look at the realistic best in slot guide without Zardum. So I'm not going to bother talking about all the other pieces again. We're just going to focus on the replacement for Zardum. So here we have the Maelstrom's Fury. This is a dagger that drops in Black Temple from High Warlord Nagentis. It is 33 stam, 21 int, 22 crit, and 236 damage and healing. So, if you're using the Maelstrom's Fury plus Orb of the Soul Eater, which we've had since phase 1, it is more spell damage than Zardum. Okay, Zardum's 259. This is 236 plus 51. So that's what, 297. So this is about 40 spell damage more, but it doesn't have the 55 haste. Again, this is still a great dagger if you're in a position to get this, which you probably will be because everyone's going to be sandbagging for Zardum. You can take Maelstrom's Fury, use Orb of the Soul Eater, and focus on all your other gear first if you want to do that, okay? Maelstrom's Fury and Orb of the Soul Eater is a fine replacement, and this is all, in the grand scheme of things, just minimally worse, okay? So everything else is the same except the Maelstrom's Fury and the Orb of the Soul Eater. So that was my Phase 3 Tier 6 Best in Slot Gear Guide for Shadow Priest and the Burning Crusade Classic. I cannot wait to get into Black Temple. Like I said, I've never done it before in any capacity, and doing such an epic landmark fight like Illidan is really going to be exciting. Let me know what else you guys want to see on the channel as well. I've been playing a lot of Season of Mastery. You guys know I love playing Classic. Playing a Shadow Priest on there as well. So if you want any videos from Season of Mastery, let me know. Other than that, I'll see y'all in Azeroth, guys.